What is going on, everybody? It is your boy SK with Purple and SKOL'd Media. I'm here with another special guest, Dustin Baker of Vikesnow. This is my guy. We're going to get right into it right after this.
SKOL'd to the bowl. Whole lot of SKOL'd gang on this one. Yeah. Hey. SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang. SKOL'd all the way to the bowl, man. My team about to go get a ring. We don't care what the team doing, man. They ain't messing with the perp gang. It's our year, time to get this ring. Bring it home back to the SKOL'd gang. SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang. SKOL'd all the way to the bowl, man. My team about to go get a ring.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. I welcome in Twitter. I welcome in YouTube and as well Facebook. Everybody welcome in. We are live, and I'm here with special guest Dustin Baker of Vikesnow. How we feeling, Dustin?
Not bad. I'm ready to get through this bad batch of headlines we've had. Some of them out of our control, some of them not in the last 2 weeks. And we are only, 3 days away from rookies showing up at training camp. So I'm guessing all we need is a little footage from training camp to get things back on track and we can resume the honeymoon.
Oh, yeah, a little foreplay with the training camp videos. I'm definitely looking forward to that, especially with JJ McCarthy. And I mean, we're going to get right into that, but let me get to some of your guys' comments. Looks like we got a couple people in here. Sean the Bomb, what's up, guys? Welcome in. Julian Marker, welcome in. Thank you guys for tapping in. But like I said, let's get right into it with the JJ McCarthy talk. We're talking about rookies. Let's get into it. Is it time to worry about JJ McCarthy and signing this all guaranteed rookie signing bonus? I mean, there's been reports out, and I don't know how legitimate these reports are, but saying that he's going to hold out until he gets his signing bonus fully guaranteed. So I'll ask you, Dustin, is it time to worry about JJ McCarthy in this, fully guaranteed contract?
The only thing you would worry about is the optics, like basically next week, where you and your friends, your family would roll your eyes. That's the only thing, I guess, writing about the team is I'd have to endure people, I don't know, either thinking Kwesi was incompetent or thinking McCarthy is some prima donna that he's not. Evidently, he wants the full shebang of the signing bonus. The reason that I would say, no, you don't need to be anxietal about this is because look at the end game here. Like, I mean, the guy's going to play for the Vikings. So it's just a matter of probably going down to the wire, whether it's tomorrow or Saturday. His agent is notorious for that. We always have that cliche that deadline spur action. I think that will apply here. The only thing at all I could be like, yeah, you should be worried is that the very start of training camp is marred by Turner and McCarthy not being there. But what is Kwesi Adoffa-Mensah going to hold a press conference and be like, folks, this guy, he said he wants his money up front, so we're going in a different direction. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah. It's more of a nuisance to the vibe of the start of training camp than anything.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And it's more so of what we've been getting from McCarthy leading up to this point, to where he's been great. And I think Doogie touched on it earlier on Score North, to where there hasn't really been anything bad that's come out from McCarthy. He's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. But this would kind of throw a wrench in it to where it's like, okay, wait a minute. You're supposed to be this team leader and team guy and everything. And now you're holding out for, your signing bonus to be fully guaranteed. That's where I would start to say, start to scratch my head a little bit. I'm already a McCarthy guy to begin with. But that would make me kind of backpedal and say, okay, wait, you've been talking this big game this entire offseason, now you're holding out. So that's where it wouldn't make sense to me.
I think on this, I don't think it's going to be a story or a holdout. I think either tomorrow, Saturday, the deal will get done. And it's just, we haven't heard from him, what the grievance would be. All we do is have hearsay or rumors, and the fact that the deal isn't signed. It's just, I guess I'm friends with Bryant McKinney, and he sat out for half the season, and he didn't get to get his side of the story out ever, and the media vilified him for it. But even if there isn't a deal signed on Sunday, I bet you he would be there and then just wouldn't do the actions. So yeah, I'm right there with you in the sense that it would be a head scratcher, an eye roll, but in terms of long term, nah, not one bit.
Yeah, and it also slows down and kind of, I wouldn't say put to rest, but makes the chances that much slimmer of him starting week
Yeah.
one. Because obviously, as a rookie, you want to be there every single day. You're there to get better every single day, and that's what he's been doing. So if he were to hold out, then that throws kind of a wrench in the people that want him to start week one. You can pretty much check that off the list and say, if he holds out, more than likely he's not going to be starting week one, which I think there's still a good chance that he does. I think it's still in motion to where, hey, it's an open competition. Yes, Sam Darnold is the projected starter week one, but I wouldn't be surprised if JJ McCarthy, once he does sign his deal, goes in there and he actually opens some eyeballs, which it seems like he's already doing. So that's got to have Vikings fans excited right now, just to see what he's doing in the film room, on the field, when he actually does get out on the field, outside of rookie camp and mini camp and everything. So I know I'm excited for the whole JJ McCarthy kind of dynamic and how's that going to play out. But again, week one is definitely in the cards, but if he doesn't, sign his deal and show up day one, that's definitely a little slimmer than what we thought. So
It seems like there's some more enthusiasm for the week one theory in the last couple weeks. Randy Moss said to Kay Adams, like, if it were up to him, guys used to start. He must have forgot about Dante Culpepper, but he said, guys used to start right away. So Moss endorsed it. There was a scout from Athlon Sports that said, this guy's going to surprise us all, and he might start in September. Cameron Bynum said a few weeks ago that, the live action, they look comparable. And then down the line, Blake Cashman, Adam Thielen, all of these guys have come. TJ Hawkinson this week have come out to praise McCarthy. So I'm definitely a guy that thinks that Darnold will be the starter out of the gate. But I don't think that because Darnold would be anointed QB1 right away, that means that he would have to be the quarterback indefinitely. It could be a week one, week two, boom, you're 0-2. We already knew McCarthy was mostly ready. Let's get him going or something like that. I think the conversation has been dialed back a little bit, at least in terms of the pro Darnold stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of you being able to get a good quarterback prospect in the top 10 of this draft, which it seems like the Vikings almost never have the opportunity and never have had the opportunity to do that, and they finally did. This is what we kind of brought him in for, a quarterback that's on a rookie deal, that comes into a situation that's not perfect by any means, but you have plenty of weapons on the field. You have a good enough defense that's getting better year in and year out. I understand we don't want to rush the guy into the game, but at the same time, we want to take advantage of this guy on his rookie deal. But at the same time, again, Sam Darnold, I'm not going to say he's primed for a breakout season or anything like that, but I do believe that he has the opportunity to have a really good year this year. But I also believe that JJ McCarthy, if he were to start week one or a couple weeks down the line, I believe that he has the opportunity to have a really good rookie year, especially with the team around him. So it all depends how it plays out. It's looking good right now, like you said, these past week or two, but we're getting into training camp. We're getting into preseason. I think we spoke about this on your show. Preseason is this is the most meaningful preseason we've had in a really long time, like a really, really long time. Because, I mean, Justin Jefferson, I don't think really played too much that preseason, if I'm not mistaken.
No, O'Connell never plays starters.
Yeah, outside of that, you had Garrett Bradbury, which was our first round pick. Nobody's too excited to see a center in preseason.
Oh, okay.
And you got other guys. You have rest in peace, Jeff Gladney. You got guys like that, to where that's not necessarily a premier position that you're saying, okay, I'm gonna key on this guy and just watch it on the telecast. Now we got a rookie quarterback and we got a rookie pass rusher, two of the most important positions in the game of football. So again, this is the most important and meaningful Vikings preseason we've had since maybe Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy would probably be the last time we were really excited about a preseason. And that was like his second or third year, going into his second or third year, that we were so excited before he got injured and, threw a wrench in our whole plans as Minnesota Vikings fans. But again, got to be excited. It's going to be a really fun preseason to watch. But getting to our next topic, and this is something that we've been fighting for a long time when it comes to offensive line, trying to get this offensive line right. And now we're starting to talk about the Darrisaw extension. We're still kind of maybe not talking about it, but it's still kind of a question in the room of, are we going to give Brian O'Neill an extension? We don't know. So, but number one, left tackle, obviously the most important position on the offense outside of quarterback, because that protects your quarterback. Is signing Christian Darrisaw a risk due to his injury, supposed injury prone start to his career, which I don't think it's very injury prone. I don't know kind of where that came from. So do you see the signing Darrisaw to a long-term deal? Is it a risk to do that concerning his quote unquote injury history?
No, I don't buy into that injury history thing. Let's say he played 12 games in his rookie year, and then I think it was 14 and 15. So for a guy to be injury prone, to me, for my criteria, we're talking like Dalvin Cook the first 2 years, where we hardly see him because bad injuries have occurred. Now, Darrisaw's resume in that vein isn't pristine, but we sought a cornerstone left tackle for a decade, from Bryant McKinney's retirement, or not retirement, excuse me, him going to the Ravens and winning a Super Bowl. We tried multiple options. Some were decent in Riley Reif, but we haven't had a lockdown guy since McKinney, and then now Darrisaw. So I fully expect him to remain with the Vikings for the long haul. This is the perk of not having Kirk Cousins on the team, is that you get to do it the model that the 49ers have, or that the Bills used for the 4 years before Josh Allen's money kicked in. You can go pay these guys, and it's fine. You don't have to pinch pennies. So Darrisaw, I think when we get there, I mean, unless he has a catastrophic thing this year, then you could start to talk about the injury-prone like persona. But it's nagging stuff that seems to get him. It doesn't undo an entire season. And I have a full suspicion that by the time we get to the off season, February, March, April in 2025, we're going to have this repeat of what we just did with Jefferson, where we're waiting. We're wondering why it's taking so long. We probably won't care quite as much about Darrisaw as Jefferson, because Jefferson's on all of the billboards and all that. But I believe that Darrisaw will remain a building block. And then I'm trying to think, Brian O'Neill's deal, that kicked in what, 2020 or 2021?
I think it's 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that one,
sure on that.
So he's still getting paid, I think, comparable to his production. I'd have to go pull the details on the contract. If we were going to have a debate about who to extend, it would probably be O'Neill at another handsome price tag, or trying the draft for a right tackle. But I kind of like my last answer. I don't have anxiety about Darrisaw risk injury, nor do I think the Vikings play hardball with him. I just think that the way that they do business, his contract's going to be right up there in terms of ginormous. So I think that one will bleed all through the winter, spring, and then kind of like Jefferson's come to fruition early in the summer.
Yeah, no, it's again just like Jefferson was. I put Darrisaw somewhat in that same category. Again, it's somewhat different levels, but at the same time, left tackle is a position that, like you said, we've been hunting for a long time. You found the guy that can be the cornerstone of your offensive line in Christian Darrisaw. He's had comparisons to Trent Williams. I mean, the numbers he puts up are the non-existent numbers that he puts up, because you don't want to see very many numbers coming from your offensive line. You want to see a bunch of zeros, 0 sacks, 0 pressures. So, and that's exactly what we've been getting from Christian Darrisaw. I don't know where this whole injury-prone kind of propaganda came from. He had the initial injury when he came into the league. I think it was an abdomen injury or somewhere along those lines, to where he had to get surgery, and he missed a few games, or he missed a good portion of training camp. Outside of that, I think did he have an ankle injury and he maybe missed 1 week or something like that? So, or a groin. Yeah, it was a groin.
Yeah,
Julie
it was a
Mark
groin.
said it was a groin. So there hasn't been many like serious injuries. If it was maybe an ACL or an Achilles injury, somewhere along those lines, to where it's like, okay, all right, that's kind of an injury you don't want to take into a big contract. And that was one of the main reasons why we didn't consider bringing Kirk back. He's coming off an Achilles injury, being this far up in age. Now, obviously, Christian Darrisaw isn't 36 years old, 35 years old, but he doesn't have any serious injuries, and he doesn't have any injuries that are constant. There's nothing that's saying, there goes Christian Darrisaw's, ankle again. It's the same ankle that keeps getting messed up. So I don't know where this this kind of injury prone propaganda has come from. You sign the guy. He protects your franchise, and JJ McCarthy, you got to sign the guy. Give him the money he's deserved, just like you gave Justin Jefferson the money he's deserved. We got a ton of cap room, like Julian Marker said. Go out there, spin it on a guy that's already in the building that everybody loves in Christian Darrisaw. I'm not too concerned about that at all as far as the injury-prone spot. But I always, when it comes to money, and it's like, okay, I know we got a bunch of cap room, but Justin Jefferson's the number one wide receiver or non-quarterback getting paid in the league. What is Darrisaw gonna get? That's what is his value? Is we all agree he's a top 3, top 5 tackle in the league, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think by the time we get there and the market resets, yeah, he's gonna be right up there, probably top over Sewell or in the top 3. And I mean, he's missed about like 19% of football games, so he's not an Iron Man. But to your point, he doesn't have like we can't sign Darrisaw because we don't know about the neck or something like that. It's just like piddly shit,
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, sign the guy. He's the cornerstone of this offensive line. I love Brian O'Neill, but if it takes moving on from Brian O'Neill and drafting in that spot or going out in free agency and grabbing a guy where you're not dumping a load of money into to where you can still hold on to Darrisaw, then that's what you just have to do. But Darrisaw has got to be on this team. He's going to be the cornerstone of this offensive line, like I said. But moving to our next kind of topic of the offseason, and it's 2 off seasons in a row, Jordan Addison, not arrested, just detained. Let's clear that up, because when it first came out, it said he was arrested, he was booked, and all this other stuff. But he was brought in. He was cited for being asleep on the wheel in the middle of the freeway, on the first lane of the freeway, coming to a complete stop, which obviously suspicious. But this is the second incident from Jordan Addison in 2 off seasons. The first one, he was speeding home or speeding wherever he needed to get to his dog, going 140 miles per hour on 94. And now he's in California, passed out over the wheel of his car in the middle of the freeway. Should there be concern over Jordan Addison's kind of red flags that we've been getting?
Yes, there should be concern because this is back-to-back incidents. And I'm more, you think about things as you just described them, I hope he doesn't die. I mean, driving 140 miles an hour, falling asleep on the freeway, those sound like red flags to me. Maybe not that he's like absolutely addicted to something, but he just needs a big heads-up moment, and maybe this will be it. Yeah, you should be concerned because these are not good headlines. I'm waiting to reserve judgment about a suspension or whatever until I learn just what in the hell happened last Friday near LAX. But I'm a weird candidate to talk about this. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and I've been sober for about 12 years. So when I hear about a guy or a gal who gets in trouble, I don't get all preachy and shit like that. Like that's not my place to say, I can't believe you did that, because I was utterly addicted to alcohol from 2003 to 2012. And it's not my job in a recovery program to sit there and cast judgment on others. So I hope that whatever's wrong with him or whatever advice he needs, he gets it. And from the football standpoint, it does suck that he could be suspended for a game, 2 or 3, whatever it would be warranted based on the details that we learn. Because we were told that Sam Darnold's going to have this bevy of weapons that he's never had in Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson. And now I'm thinking about the Giants game, and I'm like, Jefferson, Powell, and Tanyan. And I'm like, that's not going to be all that different than what Darnold's had in his life before. Right. So, yeah, I'm anxious to see how it is mitigated by Addison's camp, by the Vikings, by the NFL. But I preach a forgiveness-oriented message more so than I can't believe these bastards make all this money and then they go get arrested. Like, I get it. Shit happens.
Yeah, no, and I think the main thing on this was the timing was absolutely terrible with this. I mean, on a serious note, we just lost one of our young teammates, rookie, in Kyrie Jackson, to drunk driving, and he wasn't even the drunk one. Somebody else was drunk driving and ended up killing him and his friends and some other athletes. So for you to be falling asleep on the wheel I think it was a couple days later, not even a week later, I don't think. It was just terrible, terrible timing from Jordan Addison. You make millions of dollars, catch an Uber, even if it's just you're tired. You got to be smarter than that. You're a world-class athlete. You're going to get paid in a couple years if you just do your job and don't screw it up like a lot of guys have done in the past. You got the talent. He's going to get paid eventually. But again, it's terrible timing, terrible decision making. Whether they said it wasn't drinking, so they said it wasn't alcohol supposedly. So he was either smoking weed and just passed out because he was too high, or I don't know what happened. But you got to be smarter than that. You can't be falling asleep at the wheel with your car parked in the middle of the freeway. It's just it's not logical. So he's young, 22 years old, and I don't want to use that as an excuse by any means. But hopefully, if last year wasn't a wake-up call, which it looked like he dodged a bullet there, and I think he just got a fine or something for that.
Misdemeanor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, misdemeanor, a little fine. I mean, if it takes for his long-term success and for his long-term well-being, then you might have to suspend him for a game. Now, I don't think we are going to suspend him for a game. I think we're looking more along the lines of a hefty fine and kind of the team looking at him and kind of, look, man, making him feel it. Look, that was a terrible decision, regardless of what you were doing, what you were on, what you were drinking, what you weren't drinking. You can't allow that to happen, especially after we just lost a teammate. It's just terrible, terrible timing. So, again, decision-making by Jordan Addison, I got some concern over it. It's 2 off seasons in a row. You got to do something about it. You got to put your foot down now. I'm not in the trade Jordan Addison group right now. I don't think he's done enough for us to move on from Jordan Addison and see if we can go get Ayuk. Because, I mean, we're not trying to pay another wide receiver. Ayuk wants to get paid. Mm-hmm. Even though it sounds nice, hey, let's just trade Jordan Addison straight up for Brandon Ayuk. Nah, it doesn't work that way. One guy needs to get paid very, very soon. Mm-hmm. Jordan Addison still has, 3 years left? 4 years left. Yeah, 4 years left until we need to necessarily worry about that. So, again, I'm concerned over it. Hopefully, the Minnesota Vikings do something about it that can kind of stop him from doing it again, because we definitely don't want to see this in the news and, God forbid, lose another Vikings player. So, let's move on to our next topic. This will be the last one. We're going to get on a little bit more lighthearted side of things and something we're all excited to talk about outside of JJ McCarthy. Let's talk about the other JJ. Justin Jefferson. What is your prediction for Justin Jefferson's 2024 stat line?
All right. So even though at the top of the show I talked about the McCarthy theories that there is momentum for him to start sooner than later, my prediction for the Vikings is that Sam Darnold ultimately plays too well for McCarthy to see the field for a lot of the season. That's just the way Vikings football works. This is not me getting on a soapbox for Darnold. It's that I've been around watching the Vikings in 1996, and the guy that you don't expect a whole lot from comes in as a reclamation quarterback and
always
dazzles everybody. Yeah, even Josh Dobbs did it for 2 weeks.
Never fails.
So I can't see that Darnold comes in and is the one exception. So I believe that Darnold, even though the schedule is brutal out of the gate, he'll be the quarterback. So we won't see McCarthy until December or so. So that means I'm going to have a decent version of Sam Darnold throwing to Jefferson. I do think Jefferson will get back to his good health. So for Jefferson, we can't expect an exact replica of Kirk Cousins' consistency. So I guess as a pedestrian downgrade, I would say right around that 1,350, 1,400 yards. And Jefferson's due for a double-digit touchdown season. That's what was so cool about Addison last year, is Addison knew how to find the end zone.
Yeah.
And up to now, Jefferson's good at it, but he's not utterly elite. It kind of has some of that Julio Jones vibe where you're like, where are all the touchdowns?
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah. Well, Julio, it was godforsaken. You have like 1,600 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jefferson's not quite like that. So I'll say 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, and most importantly, a clean bill of health. And if the Vikings act like the Vikings, they're probably going to flirt around 500, even with this quarterback mystery, to keep us enthralled around December 1st. We'll be playing with the playoff machines, saying, all right, if they beat this team, they're going to be 7-6. I ultimately think they'll finish in that 7-10 or 8-9 range, but I've just watched too much Vikings football to think that this season, because it's a transformational year, I don't think it's going to suck and be boring. I think they're going to be in the mix. It just makes it a little tricky. The NFC North is so damn competitive.
Yeah, and we're kind of battling with history going into this season because every other year for the past 10 years, maybe, we've been a playoff team.
Yeah.
Every other year, it never fails. And I mean, we're kind of on pace to make the playoffs this year if you're following that format. But also, we need to find out, was that more of a Zimmer thing or is that a Vikings thing? Because we've been with Zimmer for a really long time to where, yeah, we're comfortable with KLC now. Like, we know that's our head coach. He's going to be here for a while. But are we going to kick those same kind of Vikings habits that we've had? And not just while Zimmer was here, but even before, like the primetime games. We've never been great in primetime games. And then every other year, it wasn't every other year before Zimmer necessarily, but the past 10 years, it's no coincidence. So we'll see how this year plays out, it being Kevin O'Connell's third year, right?
Yep, third
year. So we'll see if we can hopefully not break that habit. Let's get back into the playoffs this year. That'd be nice. But as far as JJ goes, I think it depends on who the quarterback is. If it is JJ McCarthy, I don't think his stats are going to be as blown up as they would be with Sam Darnold. Because I think Sam Darnold is more of a risk taker. He's going to give Justin Jefferson far more chances to get those 50-50 balls. He's going to chuck it into double coverage when he needs to. And there's going to be times where Justin Jefferson is going to come down with those. We've seen him do it time and time again. So I think Sam Darnold, being the risk taker he is, he's going to give Justin Jefferson more opportunities to put up these big numbers. So I think Sam Darnold is going to start the season. I think he's going to start the majority of the season. Eventually, McCarthy will come in, depending on where we are in this kind of playoff picture and everything. If we're close to jumping to the playoffs, then I think we're riding it out with Sam Darnold. Because obviously, if we're getting to that point, he's got to be having a pretty good year. I don't think we're going to be this ultra run first offense and Aaron Jones is going to have some career year by any means. But if we're finding ourselves in playoff contention, we're not going to be seeing JJ McCarthy this year, more than likely. So with Sam Darnold, I'm going to say 110 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 9 touchdowns. I can't give him the double-digit touchdowns just yet. I can't give him the double-digit touchdowns just yet. And I think kind of what goes hand in hand with why he won't is I feel like we'll be able to run the ball a little bit better than what we were last season, to where those goal line situations, we're not going to have to necessarily depend on throwing a fade to Justin Jefferson. We could toss it out to Aaron Jones and have him, beat his man to the corner for a touchdown. So I think that takes away from maybe the touchdown numbers, but I do think Justin Jefferson gets over 1,500 yards. And he went over 1,000 yards last year and missing 7 games, I believe he missed last season. So 1,500 yards, I think, is absolutely doable. And Sam Darnold is definitely going to give him opportunity to do that. But nonetheless, it's going to be fun to watch. That's one thing I know, whether it's Sam Darnold, whether it's JJ McCarthy, there's a lot of athletes on this team, a lot of players that are fun to watch outside of Justin Jefferson. I can't wait to see Dallas Turner. That's a guy that I'm super excited. And this entire Vikings defense, just in general, I think they're going to be that much better going into the 2024 season with another year under Brian Flores. So I'm excited to see what this defense does. Obviously, what Aaron Jones looks like in this run game for the Vikings. And again, 3 days until rookies show up and we get this thing rolling. So I know I'm excited. I know everybody else is excited that's tapped in. But, man, anything you want to leave before we get out of here, Dustin?
Yeah, I want to point out a couple things that what I've been thinking about, especially for that Giants game week 1, is it's going to feel so damn different because there's no Cousins. I mean, he's been a staple of Vikings football for 6 seasons. Danielle Hunter won't be there. Of course, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Eric Kendricks, all of those guys are gone. So even though I am really excited about it, I can't even really process how it's going to feel to sit down and watch this brand of football because it's so unique. There were about 20 players altogether that left in free agency or are still free agents. About 40 guys are new on the 90-man roster right now. So there's just so much change. The only thing that I'm apprehensive about when it comes, because I'm really excited for the defense. One of my bold takes is that when you and I are doing a show like on October 10th or something, we're going to talk about, hey, the Vikings are a defense-first enterprise. Who would have thunk it? I think that they're going to be that good or that decent, that the defense carries the thing. But what I'm apprehensive about is I've tweeted this once or twice, that when Kevin O'Connell, when his team wins the turnover battle or breaks even on his watch, the Vikings are 17-0. And when they lose the turnover battle, they're 3-14. Well, the only knock really at all on Sam Darnold is turnovers, is fumbles and interceptions. So when you start to think about the logic here, it's like, well, O'Connell is virtually unbeatable when his team protects the football. What are we going to do? We're going to go sign the quarterback that fumbles the ball a lot. So I'm a little nervous that the marriage here, like I don't want to be watching week 1 and then Darnold has 3 fumbles and I'm like, son of a bitch, we knew this guy was going to do this. Otherwise, I am excited about what Darnold can do, but I want to get it on record. If it was up to me, I would just start McCarthy right out of the gate. That's what Randy Moss said the other day. I've been saying it since draft night. It's because I really don't care in my heart of hearts if the Vikings go 3-14 or 4-13. I would be okay with that so long as we have a building year for McCarthy and we can glimpse into the future and be like, yeah, we got this. I'm not really excited about having a carousel or having to debate who's better, Darnold or McCarthy. So if it was up to me, I hope that McCarthy would play well enough in the end of this month and then August that we could just start the guy. And if we have a season that's 5-6 wins, who cares? You'll get a sweet draft pick because you didn't have to trade that to the Patriots. So I would start McCarthy out of the gate so long as he doesn't look like an imbecile at training camp.
Well, yeah, and in doing that, it takes the pressure off next season. Because next season, if say you sit back and just kind of watch this entire year, we're not gonna, as Vikings fans, and I know the front office, we're not just gonna settle for 2 losing seasons in a row and just kind of let the team slide or let the coach slide. Like, if you're going to sit out this entire year, you better be ready in 2025. That's where it takes us to where if you start week 1 in 2024, it's fair game. Go out there and sling the rock. Obviously, go through your motions, get comfortable with the game in the NFL, get comfortable with the playbook and everything. But you have nothing to lose as a rookie. You can go out there, have fun with it, man. Be the leader that you are. Sling that ball around. You got plenty of weapons to do so with. So it kind of alleviates the pressure of what 2025 would be if you do let them go out there and just play this season. So again, I think either way, whether it's JJ McCarthy or whether it's Sam Darnold, we're going to be in that playoff mix. Whether we make the playoffs or not, we're going to be the normal, typical Vikings of being right there in that playoff mix. So again, another drama-filled Minnesota Vikings season coming up. I don't expect anything less, but there's still a lot of decisions left to be made that are going to be made in training camp and preseason, and I can't wait because it's going to give us plenty of content to talk about.
The start of the 2025 season that you mentioned, if all goes according to plan and JJ McCarthy is at least pretty darn good, that is when the clock starts, because you'll have 4 years of him for cheap. You'll have 3 more years of Addison, about 3 or 4 years more of Hawkinson. Jefferson's deal, I think, will just be kicking in. So you're going to have that precious, I guess, 4-year window where if we think McCarthy is good, then you got to, because you're probably not going to win the whole thing in 2025, but you want to ramp up to it. You want to get to the division round, and then in 2026, you're getting the NFC Championship. So that's why it's ultra important that we get a little taste of McCarthy, because I'm just like you. I want him ready to go. I don't want a bullshit summer next year where we're trying to decide who's going to start. It better be McCarthy then. Otherwise, this draft pick was for nil.
Exactly. So, again, another exciting offseason in Minnesota. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. I want to thank Dustin Baker for stopping in. If you don't already follow Dustin on Twitter, or X, they call it now, at Dust Baker, and then go hit the subscribe button on Vikesnow. You'll see me on there probably like every week, every other week, something like that.
Starting with this Saturday night, unless you got something else going on.
Oh no, you might have to see my DMs. It's my son's birthday, so might not be this Saturday night.
Oh, okay, it's the next one. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so we'll be on. You'll be make sure you guys tap into Vikesnow. Go hit that subscribe button. If you don't already, hit that subscribe button for Purple and SKOL'd Media. Follow me on Twitter at SK_NFL. Thank you, everybody, for tapping in and another special guest. Be ready for another one in the next couple of weeks, too, because I'm lining them up and we're knocking them down. So, again, thank you, Dustin Baker, for tapping in. We'll be doing more content together soon. And everybody that tapped in with us, thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Later.
SKOL'd to the bowl. Whole lot of SKOL'd gang on this one. Yeah. Hey. SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang, SKOL'd gang.